In the year 2002, the director Steven Spielberg released an epic movie, Minority Report. This movie highlights a future world of technology 40 years from today, and still serves as an inspiration for designers who are looking to see into the future and what the future can bring. I want to highlight one of the scenes in this movie.
Hello, Mr. Yakamoto. Welcome back to the Gap. How those assorted tank tops work out for you?
Mr. Yakamoto.
In this scene, John Anderson, aka Mr. Yakamoto, walks into the Gap. His retina is scanned, and all of a sudden the environment around him recognizes him. They identify him, and they react to his presence. Of course, if he wanted to, he could have probably spoken back to that screen. Now, as futuristic as this seems, this movie is missing a key component that we know today as a complete reality, as a complete technological reality. That was unimaginable 13 years ago when this movie was released. And what I'm talking about is that today, you don't need a biometric scan to identify a person walking into a shop or walking down the street. There's no need for that. What you need was unimaginable 13 years ago when this movie came out, is really just a computing power that each and every person here in this room has right now that are enabling systems to identify you wherever you are, even here in this room. And if you haven't guessed it by now, I'm talking about a computer we all have, a computer we call the smartphone. And this is what I want to talk to you about today, about how we can utilize the smartphone to create experiences, and how we can utilize the smartphone has sensors, it has a connection to a network. And if we use it as a resource to understand who the user is, and the context of use, then we can create experiences. And I call these adaptive design. Now, in computer science, the term adaptive system refers to a process in which an interactive system changes its behavior according to the context of use. It adapts to the user according to the context of use. So, how will this experience look like today? Imagine you're at home using a mobile device. You're looking for fashion. So you open the Gap mobile app and you look for shoes you want to buy, T-shirts. This is the experience we're all familiar with when we use a mobile device. Now, you walk out your house and you get to the nearest Gap. You enter into the Gap, and then you get a little buzz in your pocket. You pull out your phone. Welcome to the Gap. Would you like some assistance? Now, if you tap yes, it's the same mobile application, but a completely different experience. It becomes a personal shopping assistant. And of course, it knows where you are, so it welcomes you. Hey, Avi, welcome to our store. You know, the shoes you wanted, just find them on aisle 3 on your left. And the T-shirt you were looking for, get it today for 20% off, just because this is the 3rd time you're visiting our store. We appreciate you being a loyal customer. We want to give you a discount. All right, neat. So, for me, adaptive design is really brings the era of invisible design. Because if we understand the context of use through technology, we can create invisible experiences, and these experiences are usually good ones. And to bring this home, an example, the most primitive example I could find for invisible design could be found when we're looking at these electronic doors. These electronic doors have a sensor, a proximity sensor. And as soon as you get near them, they understand the context of use. They understand that you're trying to walk in, and they adapt to that context. They open, and of course you walk in. This experience is completely transparent to us, but it's very primitive, but it's still a very, but that's exactly adaptive design, right? Context is driven by sensors and adapting to users in real time, opening the doors. But to create these adaptive experiences, of course, we need to use technology, and we use sensors. I want to highlight some of the sensors or some of the technology that we can use as tools of our trade. Okay? So if we take sensor data and turn it into knowledge, into contextual knowledge, we can create experiences based on that knowledge. So a GPS, of course, is often regarded as the context sensor because it tells you the user location. But of course, context is not just the user location because you don't know about the user's social circumstance, his mood, his state of mind, his needs. But if we use a GPS as a location sensor, we can create interesting experiences. For example, Cover, which is an Android app that gives you relevant apps based on your current location. That's kind of cool. Accelerometer. Accelerometer is a sensor we all have in our devices. Of course, the intended use is for us to see if the user is holding the device on landscape or portrait. Right? But if we reappropriate that sensor and turn it into a pedometer, we can count steps. And we can see if a person is walking or jogging. And of course, we can adapt to that sensor, to that context. Here's a list of sensors I found on Wikipedia. These are lots of sensors. Not all of them are relevant to us. Some of this are like atomic sensors and so forth. But if we use them, if we use the data that they provide us and try to understand context through it, we can tell a lot of things. We can tell if a person is in transport, if a person is on a bus or on a train. And maybe he's driving. And if he's driving, where is he coming from? Where is he going to? How long is it going to take him before he gets to his destination? We can tell if a person is indoors or outdoors. And if a person is outdoors, where is he at? What venues are nearby? Is he in a loud environment? We can tell if a person has entered a shopping environment, like a supermarket or a mall, which is pretty cool. But I want to highlight looking at technology a little bit different and using what I call other sensors or adaptive sensors. Because if we take any technological mean and turn its data into context, for me, well, I call it adaptive sensor. So for example, a camera. A camera, of course, is not a sensor. We use it to take photos. But if we use it to understand if a user is in a light or dark environment, it gives us some context-related information. And Samsung is using a camera for face detection to see if a person is staring at the device, and it prevents the device from dimming, which is using camera as standing for context. An email address, for me, is an adaptive sensor of sorts. And you may ask me, how? How is an email a sensor? A sensor for context, of course. So let's imagine we ask the user to give us his email. First time he's using the app. We want his email to register for the application, for the experience. So, and then we run that email quickly. We run it into an API service that looks into social media and looks for that email, and then it creates a profile on that specific user. So we can tell the user gender, we can tell the user age, and we can tell his hobbies. So you can imagine if it's a 16-year-old girl or an 18-year or a 35-year-old male, it's a completely different experience based on just an email. Okay, that's cool. And just looking at what apps a person has on his phone can tell us a lot of things. It can tell us his favorite sports team. It can tell us if he has kids, how old are his kids, not to mention what websites he was browsing to. Time and date is an interesting type of data that we can collect to create context and create experiences based on. So for example, Songza is a song recommendation app that offers you different songs based on the time and date. So if it's Christmas Day or Monday afternoon, you get a completely different recommendations based on that data. Alba, a smart light bulb, is using time to create experiences. How? Well, it has all these sensors, it has intuitive learning, and this is how it works. So in the morning, it wakes you up gently with your alarm, right? During the day, bright light, so you could be more productive. At night, the color temperature changes, so there's a more relaxed atmosphere, having dinner with family. And in the middle of the night, if you happen to wake up, it brings up the light just gently so you can see your way to the bathroom without completely waking up. And again, using time to create experiences and intuitive learning. Daily Dress Me is a website that changes based on the current time, your current location, and the weather. And every time you use it, of course, they're trying to sell fashion. Every time you use it, the interface changes, and you get different fashion recommendations for that week. So using time. But the most interesting of concepts emerging today is using human behavior as a sensor, tracking people and what they do, similar to Nest, the smart thermostat. So if you track someone during his lunch hours for a month, you can tell with a great degree of certainty where is he going to eat his lunch tomorrow. And of course, the world all around us now, the Internet of Things, bring a lot of possibilities and a lot of more tools that we can use, we can utilize to understand the context of use. The smart cities and the bracelets and the watches. But I want to pause for a moment. I know what you're all thinking. Avi, what is this? What are you describing us? This is a world, what about the user privacy? You know, what kind of a world would we live in if everywhere we go, they'll target us for the color of our eyes and the gender and, and our gender. They'll target us and give us ads based on that. Is this even ethical? And, I want to say that as designers, we are becoming more and more the ethical gatekeepers of technology. And it's up to us to make these decisions. Today, the so-called free internet is sponsored by the ads largest corporations of the world show us, and they do this by collecting data. And we agree for this data to be collected because we want to receive these services. So if we, as designers, make a conscious decision to keep the user privacy and make sure that he knows that we are keeping his privacy, it's always going to contribute to the success of the product. And today there's already an emerging talk that the phone itself is actually going to be passive, completely passive. And we're going to have to subscribe to services that we're interested in and give up a little bit of our privacy for these services. So if the world's all around us and the environments, the buildings all around us monitor us for our presence, and then they look for publicly available information that we happily give for this service, and together with other data that was collected on us using that space previously, we can create better user experiences. And we can use that data for better experiences. So, enough about that. Of course, you can talk to me more about it later. So, but really, for me, using adaptive design is about creating, like I said, better experiences. And that, in turns, if we use that data, in turns creates better engagements with brands. And better engagement with brands is, for me, a designing of flow. And a flow is not just a sequence of events. It's the state of mind a user is at when using the app. Because, user experience at its core is about eliminating friction as much as possible from the experience. And this is what it's all about, really. I want to give an example of such flow or of an engagement of an experience through this example of bicycle sharing program. Bicycle sharing is often major cities around the world allow you to rent a bike for a few hours. So if we had to design an app for this, how will this app look like? This is something I just did in Nextshore quickly, just to illustrate this point. So here's an interface you get. You see your current location, and you can see that 10 minutes walking, you get 12 bikes to rent. Right? Then you tap on that, you get a dashboard of sorts. That's cool, and then you get instructions on how to get to that location. If you're out of towner, or if you're local and you want to rent a bike, this is a very useful experience. We can wrap this up, we can send it to the App Store, people are going to use it. But wait a minute. Right now, the user arrived to the bike rental station, and he's going to engage with the kiosk there. I mean, we know that the context of use has changed. Why not adapt to that context? Why not offer him a button that was not there at all before? So as soon as he gets to that station, he gets a button. Hey, rent a bike. Of course, the user is in the flow, is pressing the bike, and immediately he can just take the bike and leave, right? We know who he is, and we can just offer him the bike right away, and that button was not there. But again now, the context of use has changed again. Right now, the user is engaged in the experience, is riding the bike. And if he happened to use to use the app again, if he happens to open the app again, he's going to get a different experience again. Right now, his mind is the right statistics. How long was he riding and the right balance. Of course, if he uses the app, probably he wants to return the bike. So a big button that allows him to return the bike and find the nearest bike rental station to park. So again, creating flow and better engagement with brands through this adaptive technology. So to summarize, adaptive design for me means a contextual menu to life. Because if I get what I want, when I need it, in my immediate context, I create better user experiences and better designs. I want to give a little bit of a group I manage in Facebook. This group is called Designing with Sensors. I keep posting interesting sensor-enabled design in it. If you're looking for inspiration on what we can do with sensors, join this group. I want to end with a quote from Arthur C. Clarke. He said that any significantly advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. I say to you all, let's use adaptive design for better user experiences. Let's create some magic. Thank you for your time.
Don't forget to send your tweets if you wanted to. We have time for questions from you. I'd like to start with a question is honestly, Avi, honestly, you called designers ethical gatekeepers?
Yes, that's not me, that's Mike Monteiro.
Okay. Now, how often do you think about that factor? I mean, you sort of describe the possibilities with sensors in a very positive way, but how frightened are you?
I mean, there's no escape. This technology is coming. So I'm only showing a trend. I'm only the messenger.
Okay. I want to know what you think.
But I think it's important to understand that that these ethical issues are emerging more and more, and we have to really consider them when we're designing. Even just thinking about them, and considering if what the world would be if we do this type of experiences. Would be proud of our work. And if you feel uneasy about designing these types of stuff, maybe then you should reconsider how you do it better. Yeah. I don't know if that's.
But other times when you sort of stop and say that, well, this is no good.
It's a hard one. Yes, but this is a common world, I feel, and people are more and more looking to sensor data to create experiences based on that. So,
okay, changing to the positive side.
Yes.
You showed this dress, women's dress shop. I don't remember the name now.
Gap.
No, the other one that changes with time. The
daily
dress.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you see many good examples of that now on the web, where they really are adaptive concerning time and kind of?
It's really. I mean, I have not seen a lot of this. I'm collecting these type of examples, but no, there's no. I can't give you more examples than that.
Would that be relevant for any kind of business, to be that adaptive in that way?
I think so. If you can find, I mean, more and more, it's becoming, these types of thinking is becoming more and more emerging, and we can, really, this is a mindset. If you can consider that we can use context-aware computing, that's another name for it, to design, then, we can always examine what else we can collect data from and how we can create these experiences based on.
Why is that we're not good at it when we have all kinds of traffic statistics that we can analyze and see what people actually are doing out there on the web?
I think we're limited by our our mind. This is because this is so new. I mean, I don't even know where this is going to go. And the more I think about it, there's so much opportunities that we are limited by. But just considering it would, I'm looking forward to see what the world would bring in this regard.
Yeah. Okay, now I'll give you the chance to tell us a little about the Ux Salon that you created in.
I don't want to create
tell us about the conference.
Well, I'm doing a conference in Tel Aviv, Israel. It's a user experience conference. I call it Ux Salon. It's basically a place where I try to create conversations around UX. And a salon is a place for me. A salon is a place of discussion. I mean, many years ago, before the age of television, people would gather in a living room, a salon, and they would have a discussion on certain topics. And this is what I wanted to do in my conference, to create a presentation, but then invite someone to sit with me on a couch and have a discussion around the topics of UX. So.
Are you going to do it annually, or?
Yes, well, the last one was just happened a month ago.
Now in February?
Yes,
yep.
So a year from today, another salon.
Okay.
UX Salon.
Okay. And the attention has been?
That's amazing. It's it was a sold-out event. And it's great. Israel is a hotbed of technology. There's startups, and there's more startups per capita than anywhere else in the world.
Is that right?
So there's a lot of interest in technology and emerging trends.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Annika, get anything?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
A question from Per Axbom. How should designers approach the question of ethics, and how do we know our design is ethical?
Wow. That's a big one.
That's another 20 minutes. You don't get that.
So what was the question again?
How should designers approach the question of ethics, and how do we know our design is ethical?
Oh, I think that in our core, we are biased because we are hired to do the job that we're doing. It's very hard for us to calculate if we're doing an ethical design because we are paid to do the best we can. We're trying to create addictions around experiences, and we're trying to have users use our product more and more. So it's a very hard, tough question for us. But I think that if we always consider that what we put out to the world makes a difference, makes an impact, and because, I mean, design is the tool of creation today. Everything around us is designed. And we have the power to change the world. So just consider that everything that you do has an impact on the world, and make sure that, if you feel uncomfortable yourself about, what you do, then maybe perhaps change direction, or maybe reconsider what you're doing. I don't know, maybe that's a good answer.
Avi Itzkovitch, thank you very much. Thank you.